Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how console players can outplay really good PC players. Since forced cross-platform matchmaking is still in the game with no sign of it being removed anytime soon, if you're a console player, you're going to be fighting against lots of players who have considerable hardware advantages over you. This can definitely be frustrating, and hopefully skill-based matchmaking makes it so that you don't only go against sweaty PC players, but unfortunately it's something that's unavoidable a lot of the time. Now, as many of you guys may have experienced, if you just go into these fights blindly with no game plan and kinda hope for the best, it's probably gonna end up going pretty poorly for you. So the purpose of this video is to give you guys some tips and strategies that'll give you the best chance to outplay and win fights against really good players, even if you're below their skill level. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so when it comes to killing players that are better than you, a main theme that you're going to see throughout almost every tip in this video is the idea of trying to get advantages on your enemy in any way possible. If you fight against a player who's better than you and every other outside factor is equal, you're obviously going to lose way more than you're going to win. That's why your success in these situations basically relies on you finding outside advantages other than pure Fortnite skill. So one of the biggest tips I can give you is to revolve your playstyle around the strengths and weaknesses of your inventory. Let me give you a textbook example of this that I actually experienced a few days ago. So I was playing a scrim just for fun with one of my friends, and it was actually pretty stacked with a lot of pro level players, guys that are definitely way better than I am. Knowing that, we decided to land at a more outskirts area, and as we were leaving, my inventory was this: gold scar, green pump, green SMG, and I don't exactly remember the last two spots, but I think it was floppers and minis. If I was playing in a public match lobby where I felt confident I was better than most players I would run into, I would play pretty much the same way I always do. I'd push people, get right in their face, make them box up, and then either get inside their box and SMG spray or break and replace a wall and shotgun them. But since I was playing in a lobby full of really good players, that would have been a dumb strategy because the close range weapons were the weakness of my inventory. What I did instead was much smarter. I kinda played passive, and whenever I saw an enemy, I tried to stay at medium range and look for opportunities to laser players with my gold scar. I knew that in AR battles, I have an advantage over everybody in the lobby unless they have the mythic scar or maybe a gold AUG. That strategy led to me picking up a few easy kills mid-game, and even though I didn't win the scrim, I did much better than I would have initially expected. Now, if in the next scrim I had left my starting area with white AR, purple pump, and green SMG, instead of playing passive, you'd catch me trying to wall replace and pump the majority of enemies I ran into. Just think about it like this: who would win in a fight, an average player with a green pump or an above average player with a green pump? Pretty obvious answer there. However, what if the above average player still has a green pump, but this time around the average player now is a purple one? Maybe you'd still take the above average player, but you gotta admit, it's no longer a no-brainer decision. Another important way that you can create advantages for yourself when dealing with good players is taking advantage of times where they're vulnerable. I want you guys to take a second and think about your personal skill as a player. Maybe you think you're good, average, below average, whatever. Now, what if I told you to compare your skill to someone like Benji, Mr. Savage, or any other Fortnite pro? Unless you're naturally very confident in yourself, you're probably thinking, those guys would wipe the floor with me, I'd never in a million years be able to kill them. Well, the truth is, one of the beauties of Fortnite is that there are probably 2 to 3 times each game where you would be able to kill Benji, Mr. Savage, or anybody else. The most common examples of these situations would be when they're fighting another player and you can third party their fight, when they're in a 1-by-1 just healing up, or at the very beginning of games when their inventory could be absolutely terrible. If you're someone who feels like you struggle against really good players, you need to be seeking out these situations as much as possible. And the good thing is, it really doesn't require much mechanical skill at all to shoot AR shots at 2 players not facing you, or spray and jump into a 1-by-1 while the enemy's trying to heal up. There's a reason why, even though pros are the most talented player in 99.9% of the lobbies they get into, they end up dying much more than they end up winning the game. The next thing that we need to discuss when it comes to outplaying really good players is whether it's better to play high ground or low ground. I personally believe that even though your personal preferences do factor into it, in general, it's better to play low ground in fights where you're at a skill disadvantage. Low ground box fighting is in most cases a lot more compact and easier to follow than build fights for high ground. And even though box fighting can get super advanced with tons of mechanical skill involved, I'd say that in general, as long as you keep it simple, it's also much more straightforward than build fights are. Plus, one of the positives that I think is really important about low ground fights is that you can really use your enemy's aggressiveness against them. Most good players know that they're good, and therefore they play super aggressive. These types of players typically don't really care about wins, they just want to get into as many fights as possible, finish the fights as quickly as possible, move on to the next one, and therefore get as many kills as possible. Because of that, the longer that you can make your fight against them last, the more impatient they're gonna get and the more stupid they're gonna play. And in my opinion, it's easier to make fights last longer on low ground because it forces the enemy to play on your level, and therefore it's also easier to take advantage of their stupidity. In a build fight, if they get high ground, they not only control the entire engagement, but they can easily block you off, edit down on you, and kill you before you even realized what happened. In a box fighting situation, the most aggressive thing they can really do is just jump into your box, and as a worst case scenario, that isn't even that bad because it'll result in a 50-50 spray fight. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm dealing with a player much better than me, I'd accept a fight like that any day of the week. Another important tip when it comes to killing sweaty players is not being afraid to take advantage of overpowered weapons, items, or mechanics. No matter how much Fortnite changes and tries to balance their game, there will always be multiple quote-unquote overpowered things in Fortnite. Just off the top of my head, for right now, you have all the mythic weapons, the heavy sniper for insta-getting into boxes, a lot of people would consider the RPG overpowered, a lot of people consider floppers overpowered, and I'm sure there are also 1 to 2 extra things that I'm missing. A lot of people have this mindset that they don't want to use overpowered items or weapons because it makes the kills they get feel cheap. I get it, and I actually used to be the same way, but eventually you realize that it isn't your fault these weapons or items are in the game, and if you don't use them, you're just intentionally putting yourself at a disadvantage. Again, let's break it down to a very simple example. Let's say you have an average player outside of a 1x1 just regularly trying to break and replace a wall, and then you have an above average player inside that same 1x1. I don't know about you guys, but I'm taking the above average player to win that fight the majority of the time. He's probably been in that same situation a million times before, so he knows how to handle it, and with the pure skill advantage he has, I like his odds. However, if the average player instead uses a heavy sniper to get into his box, or RPG spams him over and over again, I totally change my mind. In that new situation, give me the average player outside of the box every day of the week. Take me as an example. If you've watched any of my videos in Chapter 2 Season 2, the odds are very high that I'm gonna land agency, get the drum gun, jump into people's 1x1s, and barrel stuff them to oblivion. I'll get comments all the time of people saying, dude, you're so bad at the game, without the drum gun you'd be terrible, you have no skill, yada yada yada. And a lot of the time, it's also a lot more explicit than that. And the crazy thing is, even though that's kinda mean, there is at least some truth to it. The drum gun really is ridiculously OP, and a lot of the kills I get with it require very little skill. But at the end of the day, a kill is a kill. Doesn't matter if you do it by barrel stuffing someone with a drum gun or doing 10 edits at the speed of light and then flick one pumping them. You'll see pros take advantage of the same overpowered mechanics all the time, so why is it bad if you do it? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know how often you feel like you run into really sweaty players when you play Fortnite. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.